Hello, everyone. This is Amelia from English Conversation Amelia, and today we're diving into 100 brand new verbs that will absolutely transform your daily English conversations. So stick around, because by the end of this session, you'll sound like a native speaker.
Hey, Amelia. I'm so ready for this. I've been struggling with using the same boring verbs over and over again.
I totally understand that feeling. Most learners stick to basic verbs like go, do, and make. But today, we're going to explore verbs that'll make your English sparkle and shine.
Where should we start? 100 verbs sounds overwhelming.
Don't worry. We'll break them down into categories from your daily routine. So let's begin with morning activities. Instead of saying, I woke up, you can say, I arose from my slumber.
Arose?
Isn't that too formal for everyday use? Great question. Yes, it can be formal, but here's a better alternative. I stirred when you're just waking up, or I jolted awake when your alarm shocks you.
Oh, I definitely jolt awake every morning. My alarm is so loud it practically launches me out of bed.
Perfect example. Now, instead of getting out of bed, you can say, I hauled myself out of bed when you're really tired, or I bounced out of bed when you're energetic. I love how those verbs create such vivid pictures. What about breakfast activities? Excellent transition. Instead of making coffee, try I brewed coffee or I percolated some coffee. When you're eating, don't just say I ate breakfast, say I devoured my breakfast when you're hungry, or I nibbled on toast when you're not very hungry.
Oh, so nibbled means eating small amounts slowly?
Exactly right. You can also use munched for crunchy foods like cereal, or sipped specifically for drinks instead of just drank.
This is making so much sense. What verbs can I use for getting ready?
So many options. Instead of taking a shower, you can say, I showered, obviously, but also I rinsed off quickly for a fast shower, or I soaked in the tub for a bath.
I definitely rush through showers on work days, so rinsed off is perfect.
And for getting dressed, instead of putting on clothes, try I slipped into my jeans, I donned my jacket, or I threw on a t-shirt when you're in a hurry.
Donned sounds fancy. Is that common?
It's more literary, but native speakers do use it. More casual options are slipped on, pulled on, or tugged on for tight clothes.
I definitely tug on my skinny jeans every morning.
We've all been there. Now, let's move to commuting verbs. Instead of going to work, you can say, I commuted, I trekked to the office, or I headed downtown.
Tracked sounds like a long journey.
Exactly. It implies effort and distance. You can also use I dashed to catch the bus, I sprinted to the train station, or I strolled leisurely when you have time.
Those are so descriptive. What about driving verbs?
Great question. Instead of just driving, you can cruise along the highway, navigate through traffic, maneuver into a parking spot, or swerve to avoid something.
I definitely swerve too often in traffic.
Hopefully not too often. At work, instead of starting work, you can say, I commenced my duties. I launched into my tasks, or I tackled my to-do list.
I like tackled because work really does feel like a challenge sometimes.
Absolutely. For computer work, instead of typing, try I keyed in the data, or I inputted information. Instead of clicking, you can say I selected the option, or I navigated to the website.
What about meeting verbs? I have so many meetings.
Oh, this is essential. Instead of having a meeting, say we convened, we gathered, or we assembled. Instead of talking, try we discussed, we deliberated, we debated, or we brainstormed. What's the difference between discussed and deliberated? Excellent observation. Discussed is general talking about something, while deliberated implies careful, thoughtful consideration before making a decision. That's such a subtle but important difference. And instead of presenting, you can say, I demonstrated the results. I showcased our progress. I illustrated the concept, or I outlined the plan.
These would make me sound so much more professional.
Exactly. Now, for email verbs, instead of sending an email, try I dispatched a message. I forwarded the information. I transmitted the data. Or I relayed the news.
Dispatched sounds so official, like I'm a secret agent.
It does have that effect. For receiving, instead of getting an email, say, I received, I obtained, I acquired, or I retrieved the message from my inbox. What about lunch break verbs?
Good thinking. Instead of eating lunch, you can grab a bite, snack on something light, feast on a big meal, sample different dishes, or indulge in your favorite food.
I love indulging in pizza on Fridays.
Who doesn't? When talking with colleagues, instead of just talking, you can say, we chatted, we conversed, we bantered, we gossiped, or we exchanged stories.
What does bantered mean exactly?
Bantered means playful, friendly teasing or joking conversation, like when you have fun, lighthearted exchanges with friends.
Oh, I banter with my coworkers all the time then.
Perfect! Now for afternoon work, instead of working on, try I refined the document. I polished my presentation. I revised the draft. Or I enhanced the design.
Those sound so much more impressive than just working on.
They really do. When you're checking things, instead of looking at, use I examined the report. I scrutinized the details. I inspected the work, or I reviewed the content.
Scrutinized sounds very thorough.
It is. It means looking at something very carefully and critically. For problem solving, instead of fixing, try I resolved the issue. I rectified the error. I remedied the situation. Or I troubleshot the problem.
These verbs make everything sound so professional and precise.
That's exactly the point. Now, let's talk about leaving work. Instead of leaving, you can say, I departed, I exited, I clocked out, or I wrapped up for the day.
I love wrapped up because it feels like completing a package.
Great analogy. For evening activities, instead of going home, try I returned home, I headed back, I made my way home, or I journeyed homeward.
What about exercise verbs? I go to the gym after work.
Fantastic topic. Instead of exercising, say I worked out, I trained, I conditioned my body, or I pumped iron for weightlifting specifically.
What about running verbs?
So many options. I jogged, I sprinted, I dashed, I galloped when running fast, or I plodded when running slowly and tiredly.
I definitely plod after the first mile.
We all do. For stretching, instead of just stretching, try I limbered up, I loosened my muscles, I flexed, or I extended my limbs.
What verbs work for cooking dinner?
Oh, this is delicious territory. Instead of cooking, you can prepare a meal, whip up dinner, rustle up something quick, concoct a dish, or throw together a meal.
Concoct sounds like making a potion.
It kind of does. For specific cooking methods, instead of just cooking, say, I sautéed vegetables, I grilled chicken, I roasted potatoes, I simmered sauce, I boiled pasta, or I steamed broccoli.
These are so specific and helpful.
And for preparation, instead of cutting, use I chopped onions, I diced tomatoes, I minced garlic, I sliced bread, or I julienned carrots.
Wait, what's julienne?
Julienne means cutting into thin matchstick-like strips, often used for vegetables in stir-fries or salads.
I never knew there was a specific verb for that.
Cooking has such precise language. For mixing, instead of just mixing, try I whisked eggs, I blended smoothies, I stirred the pot, I folded in ingredients, Or I tossed the salad.
What about cleaning up after dinner?
Instead of cleaning, say I tidied the kitchen. I scrubbed the dishes. I rinsed the plates. I wiped the counters, or I sanitized the surfaces.
Sanitized makes it sound very official.
It does. Now, for evening relaxation verbs, instead of watching TV, try I viewed a program. I binged a series. I streamed a movie. Or I caught up on my shows.
I definitely binge watch on weekends.
Most people do. For reading, instead of just reading, say, I perused the newspaper. I scanned the headlines. I devoured a novel. Or I browsed through a magazine.
What's the difference between perused and scanned?
Excellent question. Perused means reading carefully and thoroughly, while scanned means reading quickly to get the main points.
That's really useful to know.
For social media, instead of using social media, try I scrolled through my feed. I browsed Instagram. I posted an update. I shared a photo. Or I commented on posts.
I definitely scroll mindlessly sometimes.
We all do. For talking with family or friends, instead of talking, use I caught up with my sister. I reconnected with an old friend. I reached out to someone. Or I touched base with my parents.
Those sound so much more meaningful than just talked.
They convey more emotion and intention. For hobbies, instead of doing, try I practiced guitar. I sketched in my notebook. I gardened in the backyard. Or I tinkered with my car.
What does tinkered mean?
Tinkered means making small adjustments or repairs, often as a hobby, like fixing things or experimenting with how they work.
My dad tinkers with old radios all the time.
Perfect example. Now, for bedtime routines, instead of getting ready for bed, say, I wound down. I prepared for sleep. I settled in for the night. Or I retired for the evening.
Retired sounds so fancy.
It is more formal, but people do use it. For nighttime hygiene, instead of brushing teeth, try I brushed and flossed. Or more creatively, I maintained my dental hygiene.
What about reading before bed?
Instead of reading, try I immersed myself in a book. I lost myself in a story. I escaped into a novel. Or I absorbed a few chapters.
Those make reading sound so engaging.
They really emphasize the experience. For sleeping, instead of going to sleep, say, I drifted off. I dozed off. I nodded off. I fell asleep. Or I slumbered peacefully.
What's the difference between all those sleeping verbs?
Great question. Drifted off suggests gradually falling asleep. Dozed off is lighter sleep. Nodded off often means falling asleep unintentionally. And slumbered is deeper, more peaceful sleep.
Those subtle differences are so important.
Now let's cover some emotional and mental state verbs. Instead of thinking, try I pondered. I contemplated. I reflected. I considered. Or I mulled over.
When would I use each one?
Pondered and contemplated suggest deep thinking. Reflected means thinking about past experiences. Considered is thinking about options. And mulled over means thinking repeatedly about something.
I need to practice using these in real situations.
Absolutely. For emotions, instead of being happy, say, I rejoiced, I celebrated, I beamed, or I delighted in something.
What about being sad?
Instead of being sad, try, I grieved, I mourned, I lamented, I sulked, or I moped around.
I definitely mope when my team loses.
Sports fans understand that. For anger, instead of being angry, use I fumed, I seethed, I raged, I bristled, or I simmered with anger.
What does bristled mean?
Bristled means showing sudden irritation or anger, like when your hair stands on end. It's a visible, immediate reaction to something annoying.
Oh, like when someone bristles at criticism?
Exactly right. For worry, instead of worrying, try I fretted, I agonized, I stressed, or I obsessed over something.
I definitely agonize over exams.
Many students do. For surprise, instead of being surprised, say I marveled, I gasped, I reeled, or I staggered at the news. These are so expressive. They really are. Now, let's talk about communication verbs beyond just talking. Instead of saying, try I stated, I declared, I proclaimed, I announced, or I voiced my opinion. When would I use proclaimed versus stated?
Proclaimed is more dramatic and public, like making an important announcement, while stated is more neutral and factual.
The level of precision in English is amazing.
It really is. For asking questions, instead of asking, use I inquired, I questioned, I probed, I interrogated, or I quizzed someone.
Interrogated sounds intense.
It is. It suggests aggressive or thorough questioning, like in a police investigation.
What about agreeing and disagreeing?
For agreeing, instead of agreeing, try I concurred, I consented, I assented, or I endorsed the idea. For disagreeing, use I objected, I protested, I disputed, I contested, or I challenged the statement.
These would be perfect for debates.
Absolutely. For suggesting, instead of suggesting, say, I proposed, I recommended, I advocated, or I urged someone to do something.
What about explaining things?
Instead of explaining, try I clarified, I elaborated, I expounded, I elucidated, or I illustrated the point.
Elucidated sounds really formal.
It is. It means making something clear and easy to understand, often used in academic or professional contexts.
I'm going to try using that in my next presentation.
Excellent. For learning verbs, instead of learning, say, I acquired knowledge, I absorbed information, I grasped the concept, I mastered the skill, or I comprehended the lesson.
What about teaching verbs?
Instead of teaching, try I instructed, I educated, I coached, I mentored, I trained, or I guided students.
Each one has a slightly different feeling.
Exactly. Coached suggests ongoing support, mentored implies a deeper relationship, and guided suggests showing the way.
What about movement verbs we haven't covered?
Oh, there are so many. Instead of walking, try I strolled, I ambled, I sauntered, I strode, I marched, I trudged, or I wandered.
How do all those differ?
Strolled and ambled are leisurely. Sauntered is casual and confident. Strode is purposeful and long steps. Marched is rhythmic and determined. Trudged is tired and heavy. And wandered is without direction.
That's incredible how one basic action has so many variations.
That's the beauty of English. For looking, instead of just looking, use I glanced, I glimpsed, I peered, I stared, I gazed, I observed, or I witnessed.
What's the difference between stared and gazed?
Great question. Stared can be rude or intense, often negative, while gazed is softer, often admiring or contemplative.
So I gaze at a beautiful sunset, but stare at something shocking?
Perfect. You've got it. For holding things, instead of holding, try I grasped, I clutched, I gripped, I clenched, or I cradled.
When would I use cradled?
Cradled means holding gently and protectively, usually something precious or fragile, like cradling a baby or a delicate object.
Like how I cradle my phone when it's about to die?
Exactly that protective feeling. For throwing, instead of just throwing, use I tossed, I hurled, I flung, I pitched, or I lobbed.
These all sound different in intensity.
They are. Tossed is gentle. Hurled and flung are forceful and sometimes angry. Pitched is like baseball. And lobbed is a high, gentle throw.
What about catching?
Instead of catching, try I snagged, I nabbed, I seized, I captured, or I intercepted.
I'm keeping a list of all these verbs.
That's a great idea. For pushing, instead of just pushing, use I shoved, I nudged, I thrust, I propelled, or I prodded.
What's the difference between shoved and nudged?
Shoved is forceful and often rude, while nudged is gentle, often to get someone's attention politely.
Like nudging a friend to look at something.
Exactly. For pulling, instead of pulling, try I tugged, I yanked, I dragged, I hauled, or I wrenched.
I yank my blanket away from my cat every morning.
Cat owners understand. Now we're approaching our 100 verbs. For beginning something, instead of starting, use I initiated, I commenced, I launched, I embarked on, or I undertook.
What about ending things?
Instead of ending, try I concluded, I terminated, I finalized, I completed, or I wrapped up.
These sound so much more sophisticated.
They do. For continuing, instead of just continuing, say I persisted, I persevered, I maintained, I sustained, or I prolonged.
I persevere through difficult English lessons.
That's the spirit. For stopping, instead of stopping, use I ceased, I halted, I paused, I suspended, or I discontinued.
What's the difference between halted and paused?
Halted suggests a complete, often sudden stop, while paused is temporary, with the intention to resume.
Like pausing a video versus halting a project?
Perfect comparison. We're so close to 100 now. For changing things, instead of changing, try I transformed, I converted, I modified, I altered, or I adjusted.
What about improving?
Instead of improving, use I enhanced, I upgraded, I refined, I optimized, or I perfected.
And making things worse?
Instead of making worse, try I worsened, I deteriorated, I degraded, or I aggravated the situation.
Hopefully, I don't aggravate situations too often.
We all do sometimes.
For increasing, instead of increasing, say I expanded, I amplified, I escalated, I boosted, or I augmented.
What does augmented mean?
Augmented means making something greater by adding to it, often used in technical contexts like augmented reality.
I've heard that term, but never knew the verb.
And we've reached our final category. For decreasing, instead of decreasing, use I reduced, I diminished, I lessened, I minimized, or I contracted.
We've actually covered 100 verbs.
We have. And here's what I want you to do. Pick 5 verbs from today's lesson and use them in sentences this week. Then share your sentences in the comments below.
I'm going to start using these immediately.
That's exactly what you should do. Remember, knowing these verbs is good, but actively using them is what will truly enhance your English fluency.
This has been incredibly helpful, Amelia.
I'm so glad. Now, before we wrap up, let me ask everyone watching, which of these 100 verbs surprised you the most? Comment below and let's discuss.
And if you found this useful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to English Conversation Amelia.
Yes, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our lessons. We post new conversations twice a week to help you master English naturally.
What should we cover in the next episode, Amelia?
Great question. I'm thinking we could explore 100 adjectives to make your descriptions more vivid. Or we could tackle phrasal verbs.
Both sound amazing. Let the audience decide in the comments.
Exactly. Vote in the comments. Do you want adjectives or phrasal verbs next?
I'm going to review all these verbs tonight.
That's the right attitude. Remember, everyone, language learning is a journey, not a destination. So be patient with yourself and celebrate small victories.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Absolutely. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. Now, let's do a quick quiz to test what you've learned today.
I love quizzes. Bring it on.
All right, here's your first question. If you're reading a newspaper quickly just to get the main points, are you perusing or scanning?
That's scanning.
Correct. Question 2. If you're walking tiredly and heavily, are you strolling or trudging?
Trudging.
Perfect. Question 3. If you're thinking deeply about a philosophical question, are you considering or contemplating?
I think contemplating because it's deeper?
Exactly right. Question 4. If you're holding a newborn baby gently and protectively, are you gripping or cradling?
Definitely cradling.
Yes! And final question. If you're making something better by adding to it, are you enhancing or augmenting?
Oh, this is tricky. Both seem right?
Good thinking. Both can work, but augmenting specifically means adding to something, while enhancing is more general improvement.
So subtle, but important.
Now it's your turn, viewers. Pause the video and answer these 5 questions, then comment your score below.
And challenge your friends to beat your score.
Before we go, let me remind you that consistent practice is the key to mastering these verbs. Try to use at least one new verb every day in your conversations.
I'm going to create flashcards for all of these.
That's an excellent study technique. You could also keep a journal where you write sentences using these verbs daily.
What about watching English movies and listening for these verbs?
Brilliant idea. That's active listening, and it helps you understand context and natural usage.
This has been such a productive session.
It really has. Remember, everyone, English fluency comes from exposure and practice, so immerse yourself in the language as much as possible.
Any final tips before we sign off?
Yes, don't try to memorize all 100 verbs at once. Focus on 10 verbs per week, use them repeatedly until they feel natural, then move to the next 10.
That's much more manageable.
And join our community. Share your progress, ask questions, and support fellow learners in the comments section.
The community here is so supportive.
It truly is. We're all learning together, and that's what makes this channel special.
What resources do you recommend for practicing these verbs?
Great question. I recommend keeping a verb journal, using language learning apps, watching English content with subtitles, and most importantly, speaking with native speakers or language partners.
I'm going to find a language exchange partner.
Perfect! And don't forget to check out our other videos where we cover practical conversations, pronunciation tips, and grammar essentials.
There's so much valuable content on this channel.
We're here to support your English learning journey every step of the way. Thank you so much for watching today's lesson on 100 new verbs.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who's learning English.
Until next time, keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember that every verb you master brings you closer to fluency. See you in the next lesson, everyone. Goodbye and happy learning.